Hey y'all, this is Joanne. I'm here in my Houston, Texas garden. It is early January and it's still, I love it in the summer when you can stay in the garden until 9 o'clock at night because it's still light. So Mrs. Doubtfire and I are here. Hello. We're here at night this evening because I wasn't ready to stop with my garden today. And I'm gonna look at some seeds and a few different ways to do it. And I thought I might share that with you, and you can go on a little experiment ride and we'll check in later in the spring. So this is the first thing. My husband bought me this. He knew I needed somewhere to put my seeds, and he bought me this wonderful little box that was a seed display box for a little drugstore. I don't know how old it is. I would guess the 40s. I love that it shows the merchant how to display the seeds, how to set them all upright. And then one of the things that came in it was a little packet. It's a pot of gold every Thursday. And it has, let's see, I'm gonna pull it out here. It's a little pamphlet about flowers from your druggist to you, sponsored by Tums, which I think is hilarious. And it's got this whole little thing on the inside. And then a free packet of seeds that are still in there. And I'm just guessing that that's gotta be from the 40s, maybe the 30s. I love that. But anyway, so this is my seed box. So I'll look at the seed box again in a minute, but I wanted to talk about, just for a few seconds, I'm gonna try seeds 3 different ways. So this is, I just saw this, it was a shiny thing in the store, and so I bought it. They are little hexagonal cells that you can just sort of pinch out when you're ready, when it's ready to be planted. And there's 72 cells in here. It seems very flimsy, like I can't imagine that's gonna last more than a season or two before it's gonna crack. That's been my experience with some other things I've bought. But they weren't expensive. It was like $5, $6, I think, at Lowe's. And so it actually comes with a little clear top. I will not use that. It's, it was 80 something here today in Houston. And so I don't really need a little tiny greenhouse to keep it warm. I won't do a heater underneath. I just put these out on my driveway. They get about half a day of sun, and it did fine for me last year. I'm sure it's not an ideal situation, but it's all the trouble I'm gonna go to. So that'll be new for me this year. The second thing I'm gonna do is just in a flat like this, where I'll sow seeds in the flat and then prick them out and put them in bigger pots when they get bigger. Like this needs to be pricked out. I've got enough big ones that I will tease those out. I'll dump it out and tease the roots apart and put each one of these in its own individual pot this big to grow up, and just potting it up and growing it on. The other thing you can do is, if you just went nuts, you could just thin that. But anyway, I will eventually, whatever comes up in here, will end up in a smaller pot before it's planted out. So I'll do that. I did that last year and it worked fine. But there were times, you could see this fall, I just sowed directly into the little pots and just put a little tiny sprinkling. And then some of them, like with basil, they'll give you 4,000 seeds and you really need 10 basil plants. So I just, just thinned them and threw that, plant away and just left myself with a couple. So actually what I did this fall was I just did I would put like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seeds or a tiny sprinkle in something like that, and actually ended up being a little less trouble than this pricking out to that. And I know there are pros and cons, but I kind of found this to be a little bit of a pain, just a time waster, if I could start it out in something like that, instead of starting it here and then moving it there as soon as it got leaves. So I'm sure there are a million different ways people do it. So anyway, I'm going to try 3 different things. I'll report back in the spring of how I liked this with the little cells, and then the tray, and then these. And these are just, to start, I bought little 4-inch pots. But now, I've got so many that after a couple of years of buying small pots, I'd never used to save them, that really don't invest a whole lot of money. Buy some if you don't have any little pots to start out with, get some the first year, but you're going to end up with more pots than you've ever needed in your life. And so I can even be picky if it cracks like that. I'll use it today, but that'll end up in the trash. When I bought some, I bought really nice. You can see it's like heavy. They're kind of tall, and that will last. I'm doing that, and that's not gonna break. And this is a store-bought one, or this is one that just came from Lowe's or whatever, and it just, it breaks easily. So I bought some heavy-duty ones, but and I like them, but I end up really just using leftover ones. And so the other things I was going to talk about really quick were tags. So my first year I tried little wooden tags, and they were fine. I had a hard time finding something that would write on it so I could still see it. I think I used Sharpie on that. But I found that if I left them in the ground, like if I wanted to identify something for very long, and left it in the ground, for a couple of seasons, the bottom would just rot. Or it would get so dirty and grungy that it would sort of soak up and to where you couldn't read what was written. So I am not recommending those. They're fine. I'll continue to use them until they've all sort of rotted away. But I don't recommend those. I really like these. They're nice, kind of heavy duty. They have one side that's a little rougher to write on than the other, but you can definitely use both. I use a grease pencil like that to write on them. They have a little hole if you wanted to hang a tag like on a tree or something. You could put a little wire through there and hang that tag on something large if you wanted to. My only problem is I cannot get the grease pencil off of that. And so I'll use it once, I'll cross it out, use the other side the next time, and then I've created a big piece of plastic that really isn't getting used anymore. And I'm not very good at saying, well, let me go find all the ones from 5 years ago that were also this variety of this coreopsis and putting that out. It was a lot of trouble. So that's the one I like the best, but it's not very ecologically helpful. And you just can't use it that long. You kind of get you use it 2 times and then you're done. I bought something and these little thin, so this is heavy. That's a heavy plastic. You can see maybe how thick a plastic that is. Very heavy. This came paper thin, right? Plastic, super bendy, right? And I got like a jillion of them. They came with something. I didn't actually buy these. They came with something. But they do take up, it's sort of the same thing. I use a grease pencil front and back, so I'm using them less. But, pound for pound, this uses a lot less plastic than this one does because it's so much thinner. And so I kind of like these. I like how tall these are. I like how thin these are. I still haven't found the perfect tag that's good for the environment, like this little maybe wooden one. I haven't found one that's rewritable. I can't get the grease pencil off the plastic. I haven't figured out how to do it yet. So if you have any comments about how to do that better, I would love to know your thoughts. The other thing, before I go, I was going to show you my seeds. But before I sit down, I'm going to show you what I got for Christmas. 10,000 mason bees in this. If you haven't learned anything about mason bees, you ought to take a look online. I think there's even a little documentary. Mason bees, we're having a hive collapse problem with honeybees. But, if we want to keep eating, we have to have somebody pollinating all our food. And so they're really working hard to get people to raise mason bees. So this already has 10,000 mason bees in it, little eggs. But these are different. I guess my husband got them. He got this for Christmas. He got these from a different place. And so they're just plain, look at that. There's a little bee egg, right? Those are little bee eggs. And we'll put those in little, in these actually, little tubes. and they will hatch out and pollinate my garden, and then lay new eggs for us. And there's this, you can see them on there. We just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And there's little videos about it. But that was my Christmas present. Now, on to, and I will report back on that. We're gonna have to figure out quite where to put this giant thing. Okay, I thought I'd give you a peek at the seeds that I'm gonna plant this year. I'm really not doing many vegetables. I cook. My kids are gone, and even before when they were still here, if it doesn't get cooked in one giant pot, then I'm not going to make it. So I make black bean soup, kind of with no particular recipe, but I put poblano peppers in it every single time. And so I'm going to try to grow poblano peppers. Last year I did lots of jalapenos, and they weren't spicy, and so I just thought I'm not going to bother. I always cook with poblanos, and so I'm going to give those a shot this year. And then somewhere in here you'll see little tomatoes. And then, of course, I've got zinnias. I've got globe basil, which I have never grown before. Rachel over at Gulf Coast Butterfly Gardening. She's a YouTube channel. She loves the globe basil, so I'm going to give that a shot. And I really have just lost my mind with the zinnia seeds and the cosmos seeds. There's some things that I thought I was going to do. They require a lot of cold, moist stratification and all kinds of stuff, and it's like, that's a lot of trouble. So I really am not doing that very much. Castor bean will be new to me. I'm excited about that. They have really cool looking little pods on them. That's another thing. If I wasn't watching Rachel's YouTube channel, I wouldn't be planting those either. We'll just make a Rachel pile. Things I know about because Rachel's awesome. Okay, this is the other vegetable, even though it's a fruit, which is a tiny little 18-inch tall cherry tomato plant. And I'm very excited, even though I don't like yellow in my garden. It's not part of my color scheme. I just wanted little tomatoes that weren't in a vine that was 8 feet long. So I'm gonna try those. I think I'll put them in the ground. I might try it in a pot, but you guys can watch along with me. But I think those are basically my only sort of edibles other than herbs. All right, so again, with the cosmos, I kind of lost my mind. Lots of herbs. Hyacinth bean like I had last year, those are the easiest thing. Again, if you have kindergartners who want to plant something that grows fast and is super fun, I highly recommend it. Couldn't be easier. I bought this at the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center in Austin. That's a native plant. I have some of this. It didn't do well. I bought it at Buchanan's Plants here in Houston, and so I'm gonna try it from seed. I really like it. It has sweet little pink flowers. It has berries for the birds, but it didn't really thrive in my gardens. I thought I'd try some from seed. Okay, I also went a little crazy with all the pansies and violas. I've already planted a whole flat of these, and not a single one has come up. This is the Got the Blues variety. Not a single one, so. Okay, I gotta start. Here's my Rachel pile again. Jewels of Opar. I have a couple already going. These are in Rachel's garden. This is all about Rachel, apparently, this show. All the wonderful things that I learned from her and plants that I have learned about from her. And I just love them. And so I'm excited for those to go. All right, here's one of the things. I'm gonna plant these tonight. This is Amy. They really recommend that you plant this directly in the ground. So I've done a little of each. So I've direct sowed this, but I also did some last year from in pots, started them in pots, and they were perfectly fine. So I've got the white one that looks like carrots. It's a little bit different, so I'm having fun planting both. Here is a pink variety. I have never gotten one of these to so much as germinate. The green has been fine. So of course not realizing I still had some, I bought 2 more when I was at the store. I'm gonna try this Nicotiana, this pale purpley blue. Half of the reason I bought it is because this little packet is so pretty, I couldn't stop myself. So I think that'll do okay in Houston. I'm not really sure. I vaguely remember growing Nicotiana. I don't remember, at some point in my life. Hopefully it was in Texas. Let's see. Now let's see what this is. Oh, these are more violas in the big pile. I've got some of this started already. They're so tiny and slow. My goodness, I must have planted them 2 months ago and they're still, you know, half an inch tall. So if anybody has any advice on snapdragons, I would love to hear it. Corsican violets, I cannot get a single one to germinate. I've already put a bunch of those out in flats. More cosmos. These, let's see. These are the Frizzle Zizzle blue. I think they're the prettiest pansies, and they have been doing well. They weren't great on the germination. They're a little harder than the little violas, little Johnny jump ups, but they have come up, and I've got some. They haven't bloomed yet, but they're almost. Again, in the Rachel pile. Let's see, what else? Oh, I don't even know what this is. I bought it at the Wildflower Center, but we'll have to see what that ends up being. Borage, it comes up so easily. It's a cool weather plant. It self-seeds everywhere. It's beautiful, blue flowers, so good for pollinators. But then it's kind of prickly and itchy, and they get really big and they start laying down on top of other plants. I will still plant some of those, but I'm not afraid to rip them out when they become unwieldy. I put some cleomes out and they all froze, so I'll probably do that. Verbascum, I've been wanting to try this. I can't get one to they will not germinate for me. More cleomes, which I had great cleomes last year. Now, y'all are gonna laugh at me. Let's see. Ooh, this is how bad it is. I don't even have room to show you how many varieties of poppies I bought. Hungarian blue, giant rattle, Lauren's grape, Black Beauty, more Hungarian blue, purple peony. It's possible we're going to run into some more. I lost my head. I had like 3 poppies come up last year, and they made me so happy that I went a little bit bananas with the seed catalog. All right, of course, more cosmos. Rachel pile. That's clear crystals. Okay. I bought those because I was buying those, so that's a half a Rachel pile. But yes, zinnias and cosmos I love so much. And so I will do a bunch more of those. Cosmos. Oh, this is going to be new. These are Angelonia seeds, and they came in a funny little packet. It's got all these instructions, and so I haven't even broken it. It's like in a little vial I can feel in there. I'm kind of interested. Then, sort of the other thing is I save seeds. So unknown profusion zinnia. Oh, I bought that at the store. It had no tag. I liked it. So I saved some seeds. I've got some little poppy seeds from a friend in here. And this is coral nymph salvia, which I've got some. Same friend, actually. I've got, what in the world is this? Oh, it's zinnias. These are all zinnia seeds in here that I saved from last year. These are my favorite little white zinnias that I go just from year to year. Also the Rachel pile. This is pipe vine, Watsonii pipe vine. You can see them in there. Those are actually going to get mailed to Rachel. These are just things I saved. Basil. And then things that, just from the garden that I saved. Zinnias. These are from a friend. She folded them in cute little packets. I don't know how she did that. Probably learned that in the 6th grade. I missed that day of school. These cute little packages. So we went around her garden and she pulled seeds from all the plants that I pointed at and said, "Ooh, okay, this is a little sign. Label them properly." Because I clearly wrote echinacea, and then when I looked in there, it's definitely not echinacea. I don't know what that is. Oh, look, shocking. More zinnias. This is that little basil. It didn't have time to bloom this year, so I'll do more. And Oh, here again, my friend, just little things that I pointed to, and she collected. And and then let's see what's in. Oh, that's more of my little white zinnias. So, I don't know what that is either. You know, I did put, you can see a little sign in there. But, so you can see I have my work cut out for me. Oh, I'm going to try this coreopsis. I've had a hard time getting any coreopsis to ever germinate, so I'm hoping that'll do well. Then I'm trying sunflowers, pale yellow. I tried this one. I just grew one this fall to see if I liked how pale that yellow was, and I loved it. And so I've got several varieties. I've got a white sunflower, a pale lemon sunflower, and that other one. And then shocking, zinnias, zinnias, zinnias. Goodness. And then here I am again, mystery seeds. Mark things when you collect them, future me. Well, I should probably end on that note. I'm sorry to make an enormously long video just about my seed box, but I hope you made it to the end. I hope you guys are having fun and that it is warm enough where you are to start some seeds, whether it's inside or outside. And I hope you have a lot of fun with it. And if you're like me, you have more than you have room for. But that's always a fun thing to have more plants than you have room. Then you can start giving them away. Well, have a great night. Have a great week. And I'll keep you updated on which method I like the best, and certainly keep you updated on the bees, which I cannot even tell you how excited I am. Bye-bye, y'all.